Today I'm going to try and do a quick, hopefully fun comparison between the 2015 Volkswagen Egolf and the 2018 Tesla Model 3. For starters, let me introduce you to the Volkswagen. So I leased this car initially back in November of 2014. And in 2014, it was brand new Volkswagen, and it was a 2015 model. I myself have, for as long as I have been driving, have been a big Volkswagen fan. All my friends who know me know that I have driven nothing but, or as far as owned, nothing but Volkswagens other than a minivan or an SUV for the family here and there. And my first car that I bought was a 1991 Jetta GLI with the big bumpers and the BBS wheels and Recaro seat. Then in 1997, Volkswagen shoved the VR6 into the GTI, so I had a 97 GTI VR6 Driver's Edition in Ginster yellow that the just screamed, "Hey police, pull me over." And then in 2004, I traded that car in for the legendary 2004 Mark IV Volkswagen R32. And that was the VR6 crammed into a Golf body with four-wheel drive, 250 horsepower, 6-speed manual, Oz racing wheels, Koenig racing seats, the whole deal, all from the factory. And I was a big, diehard. It's got to be a manual. It's got to be at least a V6 and have 500 tailpipes and all that stuff.
To enjoy the sound of the engine with all that yakking. I worked at Industrial Light and Magic, and ILM had done the first commercial for the EV1 that GM had put out.
The electric car is here.
Working on that and seeing some EV1s around and going, wow, that's really cool. I can't wait till that becomes a thing. And then it got quick. So I figured, all right, that's done. So in my mind, the future was, just continuing on, maybe some alternative fuels here and there, but electric cars were kind of a flash in the pan.
The electric car. It isn't coming. It's here.
Around that 2008 or so, I started hearing about Tesla.
Forget the intro. Look at this electric car called the Tesla. This is a high-end, $100,000 version of what its creator believes is going to be the way of the future. And here we are with Elon Musk, the chairman and creator.
Then Tesla came along. I started following them, and then I would start seeing them around, and I'm like, wow, those are really cool. That'd be great. But wow, you have to be super rich in order to plunk down 100 grand on a car. But my starter EV was this Volkswagen 2015 Volkswagen Egolf. So when I started hearing about Tesla and electric cars, and I of course knew about the Leaf, but I would never buy a Leaf because of how ugly it was.
and I like the packaging of the Volkswagen Golf. So anyway, I thought, great, here's my opportunity. I can drive an electric car and still in a Volkswagen. Great, because I know how quality build they are. The interiors are great. It's a huge company, so what could go wrong? So here I am, late 2014, early 2015, driving around like, I'm driving an electric car and it's a Volkswagen, yay, I feel so good. And then the diesel scandal hits, and quickly I'm like, can I take the badge off this car? So anyway, so that kind of put a damper on it, as well as many other things. I'm digressing. All right, here we are in the 2015 Volkswagen Egolf. This is the SEL Premium, so we have the synthetic leather or pleather interior, which is labeled Titan Black, but it's really just dark gray. And it's nice. It's high quality. At the time, this was the top of the line Golf. It had all the bells and whistles. It has cruise control. This is the first Golf that had LED headlights, full LED headlights. It has LED daytime running lights, which are these like little Tron C-shaped lights, which you'll see. And it's generally a nice place to be, no rattles. And the great thing with electric cars is that the car isn't vibrating itself to death, so those rattles aren't going to perpetuate themselves. Because the car is basically smooth most of the time. I leased this car for 3 years, and at the end of the 3 years, still didn't have the Tesla, so I ended up buying this car. And about 6 months later, the Tesla came in. But that's fine. I've had the two back to back enough to know the differences between them. And after having driven the Tesla for quite a few months now, and then getting back into the Volkswagen, I can really tell the difference between the two. So with the Volkswagen, space-wise, you've got seating for 5, obviously 3 sort of kids in the back. It's not terribly wide enough for 3 adults, but it can happen for short trips. I have 3 kids, so I can fit 3 across the back. 2-year-old in a car seat, 9-year-old in a little Bumbo inflatable booster seat, and a 7-year-old in a booster seat. So they fit pretty well. The 9-year-old's a little squished in the middle, just trying to find the seat belt, but they don't complain, at least not right now. There's plenty of room in the trunk. It's just the same as a normal Golf. You don't really lose much space being electric in the Egolf than you do to a normal Golf or GTI. And the infotainment on this car is quite frankly terrible. This is the 2015 top of the line model, at least in the US, and it's garbage. The satellite navigation is terrible. I used it once and I had to turn it off because it was embarrassingly slow, and the voice sounded like it was from Speak and Spell from the 80s. So this also doesn't have the USB ports in the middle. It has this proprietary cable that then you have to buy Volkswagen special cables to fit your iPhone into it, and they of course rectified that in the 2016 model with USB ports. You can plug anything you want. Yeah, in general, this has been a great car. When I lived in San Francisco, I drove from South San Francisco to the Presidio back and forth every day, and that was about 14 miles round trip. So overall, I would plug in maybe 2-3 times a week. And then we had chargers at work, so if I really felt like I needed to do some errands after work, I would plug in at work and then drive home on a full charge. The only time I came anywhere close to running out was when I had to go to an airport in Oakland, and then after the airport I had to go pick up some architectural plans in a place further down the bay, and that was actually a decent experience because I actually found my first and only CCS charger there, which filled this thing up in 15 minutes, to be honest. I plugged it in I took a walk, thinking I'll just walk around the neighborhood, and I got not even out of the sight of the parking lot where the car was parked, and I got a message saying the car was done. So that was actually a pretty good experience. I just wish there was more CCS chargers around. Let's talk driving experience. So in the 2015 Egolf, I've had a pretty good experience. The only real issues I've had are traction with these low rolling resistance tires. They're pretty terrible. If there's anything close to the whiff of moisture in the air, they spin. And going around a corner a little too abruptly when it's slightly moist out, you kind of get a little nose pushing. It actually has a better weight distribution than a GTI because the battery sits down low between the wheelbase, and there's not this huge lump up front trying to pull you off the road. The suspension's pretty firm. It has a little bit of roll to it, more so than what I'm used to, at least coming from an R32. So in my mind, it could definitely be way more sporty, but given the fact that it only has an 85-mile range, and pretty much anything you do beyond normal driving is going to suck that range down real quick, it's probably good that it doesn't have too much of a sporty setup to it. I really don't have any complaints about it as a car, other than the short range and the bad tires. So let's talk now the comparison of the Egolf to the Model 3. Here we are in the Tesla Model 3. Instantly coming just from the Egolf into this car, there's more space in here. The roof is a little lower, but it's wider, definitely. I feel a little further away from the person next to me. I feel like I've got a little bit more elbow room. And it obviously feels more open because you have this huge glass roof that goes all the way back. Like the rear window starts right above basically the passenger's knees and goes all the way to the back. So there's just two big, huge glass panels on the roof. They don't open. It gives you this sense of being very open, and it's pretty well tinted. Like, sun is shining out right now. Like, you can see the sun hitting my face here, but the light coming through the roof, which is actually hitting my head right now, it looks like it's in the shade. So they did a pretty good job on the tint. In fact, you'll see a lot of photos around of people with Tesla Model 3s where the roof is wet and it looks red, like a red rainbow kind of thing, and that's because you can see all those protectants being reflected back up through the raindrops, and you can see how much it's taking out, sort of filtering the light. And especially me being bald, there's been rare a day where I actually feel heat coming from this glass onto my head, and I live in Texas. I won't go into all the detail of the screen. There's plenty of videos out there that will show you all the features. The biggest difference between the Model 3 and the Egolf, and basically every other electric car out there, and any car actually, is that this is the only car that you can buy. And there are so many things better about it now than when I first bought it. The list of things that they've updated that this car can do, and not only today but has the potential to do, a year from now or more, is pretty insane. And all the upgrades I've gotten since I bought it have all been free. Suddenly your car can do all sorts of new features, new tricks, little improvements, and some of them are based on customer feedback, which I have given feedback to Volkswagen on so many levels and so many things on the Egolf, and haven't had any response. Where if you're lucky enough to catch Elon's attention in a tweet about a feature, some cases just weeks later that feature is available. So it's pretty amazing, and no one else can come close to that, at least not anytime soon. This is the long-range rear-wheel drive version, so it's not the performance model, and it is already adequately fast. That's one great advantage to driving an electric, is you can pull away from a stoplight like a madman without any drama on the outside. But inside the car, it's like, woohoo! But on the outside, there's no loud exhaust noise and tire screeching, and the fact that it does it all on regular performance tires and not special low rolling resistance tires is a huge deal to me. It's sort of a no compromises driving experience. So there is no question going from one to the other, and I feel like I'm finally, I have an electric car and I'm not compromising my performance, my style, and every time I get into it, it's like stepping into the future. And for someone who went to school for car design and works on sci-fi movies all the time, what could be better?
The electric car is here.